What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another chance encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close.
What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with Michael Savinelli. How are you doing today, Michael?
Good. How you doing today, Dan?
I'm fantastic, particularly because I've got my very favorite audience member here with me today. And why do I have my favorite audience member here today? It's because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, investors, and operators. Now, why do I do that? Part of it is because it's the law. The compliance part means that you can't share any of your private deals with people unless you already have a prior substantive relationship, which means you have to know what's their story. So I have people on. It takes 15 minutes. If you're a commercial investor, syndicator, or operator, make sure you reach out. But before we get too excited about that, Michael, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience real quick?
Yes. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be on here. I just want to thank Dan again for putting me on here. Like he said, I'm a real estate syndicator. I'm also a general contractor. I'm also a Marine still. And that's about it. If you want to know more about me, reach out. I'll put my info at the end of the video after.
Exactly, good stuff. So the first thing that, you've got you're a Marine, so you'll get this part, which is but wait, check your eight. Okay, it's your eight. Can you see if the audience under my hand here? So it's the audience is five, but you're eight. Can you see if their subscribe button is red or gray? Can you make it out from where you're standing? Because like it really should be. Now, all jokes aside, what I really want to talk about is the five distinct motivations that I found commercial investors, syndicators, and operators have for making their next acquisition. So the first one that I've found, some people are doing this because they're preserving their purchasing power. So if somebody already has a portfolio of assets and then the cash flow that comes from owning them is how they make ends meet, the reason why they'd want to make a new acquisition is to stave off inflation, or if there's an asset crash or something like that, that's why they're going to be picking up more, even though they're already financially independent. That's not what I'm up to. What I'm up to, because I got a tech background, is I'm trading time directly for deployed equity. So what that's all about is my background in tech makes me a high earner, high salary, whatever. And what hit me is like, well, shouldn't I pivot to something that isn't the biggest tax bracket out of anybody? It's like, the government's taking half in income tax once you get far enough up there. So it makes more sense to say, hey, let's devote our time to something where I'm skipping a step, basically. So that's what I'm doing. But a lot of people get into commercial real estate because they want to fast track retirement, or more accurately, they want to take control over their schedule. So that might mean that they want to work fewer months per year or fewer weeks per month or something like that. But that's not everybody in commercial real estate. Some people, they just love to hustle. Like the next group, they want to buy their entire hometown. Their whole play is they want to make sure that they have generational wealth and their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. Okay. These guys are going to be hustling into their 90s, and that's fantastic for the people on their team because they're not going to be on a beach in Bali taking it easy. So the last group, though, they're also going to be hustling. They're also going to be sticking around. And that's because they've picked a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment, maybe it's animals, but they realize that, hey, you need a serious financial backing if you're going to make a real impact on a sector of society or something like that. So of those five different motivations there, Michael, what combination of them jumped out to you and describe you best?
It's more about trading my time so I could spend time with my family, work for myself. I'm not a corporate person. I like creating relationships with other people and helping others as well. That's my biggest factor here, and my family. It just, I got a 16-month-old son. I left the corporate world and I have more time with him than ever right now. Don't get me wrong. I put a lot of time into this. There's a lot of work that goes on in this industry, but it's worth the time. The time put in here is for the long run here.
I absolutely love it. And that brings me to my next question, though, because this is a different kind of risk. It's the tolerance for risk assessment, and it's a fill in the blank question. So there are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What do you think is too risky, Michael?
I think my Air Jordans are too risky, to be
Yeah,
honest with you, Dan.
yeah, you're not going to be retiring with your Air Jordan hustle.
No, no, with inflation going on, it's they can't really hold their value right now. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you don't make anything for owning them. So yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. So let's get on to specifically commercial real estate. And to do that, I pull out the Dan Does Deals commercial roll die. It looks like a magical tesseract today. And what's the story about it? It has the 6 different core roles in a commercial real estate deal. And if you want your copy, it's completely free. You can go to dandoesdeals.com. I don't even ask for your email address, which is like the dumbest thing you can do in marketing, is not get somebody's contact information in return for a freebie. But I want you to be able to effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate because your career just might depend on it. But I also want you to understand how Michael fits into these deals as well. So that's why in every chance encounter, I go through all 6 sides of this. So let's first talk about what's a repositioner. A repositioner is a person who looks at a bunch of different properties, does a bunch of different paperwork. And what are they doing? Well, there's a fancy word for it. They underwrite the deal, which means they do the math. They figure out, first of all, hey, is this broker or seller, like, are they telling the truth? Is this business actually even making what they claim it is? So that's one thing they're doing. But I use the term repositioner, and not many other people do, because it draws attention to the fact that this person is going, how do I make this property more profitable? How do I find more upside? And there are 3 main tools in their tool belt to pull that off. The easiest one is finding more advantageous lending. So the financiers are the people who only deal with paper and money, investor relations, possibly that sort of thing. So the banks. So the financier, if they're willing to give more advantageous lending, then it's a slam dunk for the repositioner. But let's assume that the tables are more or less level. So the first place they're going to look is the operations. They want the operations team to be more efficient, to cut the costs. They want to stop these Benjamins from going down the toilet there. But there's more than just unclogging toilets and collecting rent, mowing lawns and taking out trash and stuff like that to operations. There's also a marketing piece, which is one of my fortes, especially for keeping the vacancy rate low. So that's one reason why GPs like me, and sponsors for joining the team. The other one, of course, is all the automation and whatnot that I do. But operations in a competitive environment, it's probably not enough. So oftentimes they'll get a contractor team to do a value add, aka renovations. So they'll make the place nicer so that the next tenant will be happy to pay more money than the previous one. And that's how they get the upside. But even if you've got the contractor team to make the units nicer, if the repositioner has the same problem that I do, which I don't know if you know this, but I'm from the internet. So I need a local. I need the boots on the ground if we're going to take down a property, because somebody's got to be able to be there in an hour, and it's not going to be me because I'd be stuck at an airport in an hour or two. So that's the ownership team as most people think of it. But when you turn around as a repositioner to the financier and say, hey, here's the deal, and it's worth tens of millions of dollars. Hey, you don't happen to have, say, tens of millions of dollars you want to lend me, do you? And the financier is going to say, okay, well, there's your team there. Well, hang on, there's one thing you skipped. Who's your sponsor? Who's your KP? Okay. And what that's all about is, if you want to be eligible for a commercial loan, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. So if you already have enough money to just buy the building and take it over, that's different. But if you want a loan and you want to pick up a 350 unit apartment complex, somebody in the fold has to already own a 350 unit apartment complex. And on top of that, you need a certain amount of liquidity. And then you also need a balance sheet among the owners of at least the amount of the loan. And if you have all of those, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Michael, I know that pretty much everybody to some degree is a repositioner, and everybody is to some degree they have to do some sort of investor relationships with financier side. But and you mentioned your contractor background, so that sounds like you'd be on that side. But what are your core competencies that you'd be contributing to your next deal more likely than not?
So my core competencies is so I'll be dealing with like asset management, investor relations. I'm very good with creating relationships. I bring the deals to my team. I have underwriters and due diligence people that do the other work for me, but I'm mostly investor relations and asset management.
I love it. So yeah, you got a couple different hats in there, and then there's a big financier piece. I love it. So the next question would have to do about what your ideal property is. And when commercial investors are asking what's your ideal property, what's your buy box, they're asking about three main things. First one is geography. Where is it? So which states, which counties, possibly even which neighborhoods? Okay, that's going to be super important. The second one is going to be the size of the deal. Now, we are generally talking about multifamily commercial here, which uses unit count as its way to describe the size, whereas other forms of commercial real estate like industrial will go off of square footage. So we definitely need to know the size though, because different players will want different sizes of deals. They'll be equipped to handle different sizes of deals. But the third one kind of bugs me a little because it's called class, but it's two different things with the same word. So the first definition of class, it has to do with the condition of the building. So is it old and beat up, or is it up to date? Is it luxurious, or is it really, really bare bones and no frills or whatever? So that's the first definition. Now, the second definition of class, and they use both, it has to do with the property's location in terms of like, what are the school districts like? What's the crime rate like? And both of these versions of class are rated with the same system as in grade school. So it's like A plus, A minus, B plus, and so on. So Michael, as far as properties that are easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to, what you're looking for?
So what I look for C properties in B to A areas.
Mhm.
We usually focus anywhere from 50 to 200 units,
Mhm.
and we're looking in MSA metro areas, secondary markets. But I don't shy away from other markets. I like to do my due diligence first. I have my set areas. I'm working in Texas right now, in Tennessee, that I really know. I like to narrow down on areas that I really know, but I won't shy away from deals because I'll put that extra work in to go figure out the areas and find people on the ground that, 'cause you need people on the ground where you're at, because I'm from Connecticut. I have people in Texas. I'm not from there. So like Dan was saying, I can't get there in an hour. So having those feet on the ground, plus I do a little bit of traveling too, so I could figure out the areas that I'm in, which really helped me. That's the biggest thing, having people on the ground there, because you just don't know from where you're not from, you know.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And the next thing that has to do with people, and it sounds like more locals in Texas would be pretty good. My favorite thing about commercial really is that because you got these separate swim lanes, people are so eager to help each other and build new teams. So even though we are so friendly and we like the network and give referrals and all that kind of stuff, though, we because of our own core competencies, we're better suited to help some people more than others. So because of my marketing and tech background, specifically with the CRMs, the sponsor KPs are the people who I generally looking for. But these days, I have found that more and more repositioners are going to be handy as well for me personally. But how about you? Oh, and if you have any 506B deals, don't entice investors because the SEC doesn't like that. So, but you can still say it's like, oh, well, if you're just learning this stuff, come on and reach out. But who are you disproportionately suited to help, Michael?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, so who on the die are you are better suited to help, or who are you particularly looking for? And
I'm looking for more of sponsors right now. Like I
mhm,
said, I'm newer in the game,
mhm,
but
mhm.
I look for sponsors. I kind of have my team set up, my repositioners, my underwriters, and my due diligence, other people on my team. So right now, focus on sponsors right now to help me in the areas there's a lack of right now.
All right, I love it. I love it. And then the next thing has to be, how do we reach out to you? So LinkedIn's a great way to catch up with me. I got a nice distinct last name. Do you have a website that's better, or is there a social media platform? Like, what's the best way to reach out, Michael?
On my social media platform, I'm Michael, multifamily Michael Savinelli, and also on LinkedIn. You could find
Okay.
me.
Okay, awesome. And then the only thing I have left, it's actually not for you, Michael, it's for you in the audience, which is if you've noticed, if you've accidentally looked under my left hand and you've noticed that you have like this onset of a migraine, like this searing pain in your eyeballs, it just like hurts, it's because there's this ugly red button that says subscribe on it, and frankly it's embarrassing. Okay, like if anybody is like a zoomer and they're walking by and they see your screen, they see the red button, they're like, oh my god, I thought I knew you. All right, so you really got to click on that button. It's totally free. The reason why I like to encourage people to do it though is because it has a magical power. See, if you click on it, then YouTube might actually start paying for these videos instead of me. How cool is that? And actually what it really is, it doesn't cost you anything. All it means is that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions, but you don't have to watch those. I just appreciate the fact that you spent the time with me. Just like Michael, I appreciate the fact that you joined me, and we got to get to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, Dan, thank you. I appreciate your time as well. Look forward to
Awesome.
more of this.
Sweet. Thanks.
Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me. Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506B me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.